Welcome, everybody. Please let me know if you can hear us. If anybody could just say, yes, we do down below, that would be great.
And me as well.
Can anyone hear us, please? That's a viewer in the audience, please. Can anyone hear us down below, please? Could you write, yes, we can? Can anyone hear us down below?
Okay,
please?
I got the live stream on too, so
yes, we can.
It's
all right. Turn your volume off on your YouTube.
Gotcha.
Great, thank you, Outback. I appreciate it, Nathan. Welcome to Kraken's Garage. Welcome to another adventure. Today we have a banger for you. We have our special guest, the Smyrna Cowboy. He hails from Tennessee. This is David, and he has an interesting story to share about his journey on two wheels. You're going to hear different views from many different people all over the globe, and I hope you enjoyed today's stream. If you would like to introduce yourself, David, I would appreciate it.
Oh, sure. My name's Dave, the Smyrna Cowboy. I've been doing YouTube since 2007. That was before GoPros and everything else. I had a Kodak V570, which got 640 by 480 resolution, and we Velcroed it at our visor of the helmet. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was, you had to look down so you could look up, and then it just started to getting better and better and everything, and it just morphed into what we have today. We have the GoPros and the seeing us on the side and the drifts and the replays, and it's just did that exponentially. So,
how many videos do you have up? 2007. I can't even fathom that.
I really don't know how many videos I have total. I think it's over 1,200, maybe. I'm not sure. I mean,
good heavens.
I mean, I usually try to put it at 7 minute was the sweet spot back in the day, and my pretty much motto is put a camera on my helmet and talk about crap. So that was pretty much it. So we had a good time.
Outback Outlaw just stated you're the OG of motovloggers, and that's a slang term for original gangster, meaning you started it all. You're an OG motovlogger. That's great. 2007. That's amazing. Wow.
Yep. So that's been what, 10? 16 years, 17 years, something like that.
Absolutely. Wow, we got Coach Bob in the audience.
Hey, Coach Bob. How you doing, bud?
There goes the neighborhood. Everybody hush up. Bob's in the room. So let's start off with your questions. What made you decide back in 2007 to become a motovlogger on YouTube?
Well, I was interested in buying the Scoot back then. And so what do you do when you're interested in buying something? You research it. So I go on YouTube and I research scooters. And so I see all these people, doing motor vlogs and stuff. And you can see, Thailand, England, the Dominican Republic, South America. And hey, DFW Spider Moose. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, shit, that looks pretty cool. And I would like to show other people my part of the country, of the United States. So that's what really put me on there to decide to start motor vlogging. And if I do something that's not right or anything, I can always go back and see, well, what did I do here? And then you can critique your own self and see if you can improve on what you've already done. And of course, when I was doing the research on it, my daughter was looking at me and I was watching motorcycle accidents. And my daughter goes, well, Dad, why do you do that? I said, I would much rather try to learn from somebody that's already had the accident and try to critique that. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Instead of it happening to me on the road. So it's sort of like a learning experience.
Makes sense. I mean, that's crazy. I just can't. How many years is that? 3 would be 2 plus 13. That's 16 years of doing YouTube.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And
Wow, that's
and I've
amazing.
I've never monetized or anything else. I just do it when I want to. I had a full time job. I'm retired now, so I just did it for the fun. And sometimes I would put out 3 videos a week. Sometimes I would put out 3 videos in 2 months.
Wow.
I had no pressure or anything to put out videos and stuff. And when I
Well,
think of something worthy, I post it.
here, people that do have YouTube channels that are watching in the chat, uh, Outback Outlaw doesn't monetize his channel either. You need to understand YouTube is changing it up and they're putting commercials in your non-monetized channel anyway. They're going to make money off of you whether you take a cut or not. That is happening.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So my feelings are, even if you just give it to your local charity or church or something like that, I would monetize it. But
I want
just
to
my two cents.
say hi to Road Reality and Gliding on Twos. Hi guys, how y'all doing? It's on the side chat
Welcome.
there.
If anybody has any questions as we are scooting along here, pun intended, please put them in the chat and we'll get them out in front of people. So that's epic. You have got to be one of the very first pioneers of YouTube in motovlogging, bar none, in my
Uh,
humble
well,
opinion.
well, I appreciate that, but there are quite a few people, not as many as it is now, of course, but I mean, I've seen the evolution of cameras, like I said, from the Kodak V570 on up to a GoPro 11 now, and it's just been, just astronomical to the way that it's evolved over the years.
So my next question is, when you started your YouTube channel, it probably has evolved, I would guess, from where you started in your mindset 16 years ago versus where you are now. Is part of your channel for legacy for your kids or future generation grandkids and things like that, to get a look at grandpa and stuff like that?
Exactly. My granddaughter Julia, I call her Little Miss. She watches my videos and stuff, and she brags that her pappy, that's what she calls me, pappy, is a YouTube star. Far from that, but with a 9-year-old, it's just hard to convince them otherwise. So I just let it go. And when I was in the hospital after the burn, my daughter would turn on my YouTube channel and go to sleep by the sound of my voice that gives her comfort. So I was real honored with that. So it is a sort of legacy for my daughter and granddaughter that they can look back if YouTube stays YouTube forever. But they can always go back and see my videos. And, I did this back in, 2011. I did this in 2007. I did this in 2023. Uh, my daughter and we rode in the Christmas parade last year, and I watch that a lot now because I love hearing her voice and everything. And oh, it's just great. That was a milestone for me. That was one of the Christmas parade and van were the two most things that I wanted to uh, do my PT on and to get better, and so I could do those two particular things, and I've done that. So,
Coach Bob jumped right out of the gate. Tell us about VAM. That was the first time you ever went. How was it? How was the back of the dragon? Was it scary meeting all the creepy motovloggers that showed up?
well, Eric, you've been on the back of the dragon, but this is my first time on the dragon, and I trailered the bike. There's no way I could have rode the bike up there. I'm just not physically able to do that. So once we got to the room and everything, and we had to meet up at Sonic, that video aired today. So it was great just meeting people with the channel, that has the channel and stuff, just meet them face to face. And uh, I was physically tired when I went up to Sonic and everything, but all in all, it was good. But I ran into a problem that night. I wore a CPAP. For people that don't know, that's a continuous positive uh, air pressure for sleep apnea. And I took my travel CPAP. Well, unfortunately, when I got it up there, the gasket was gone and the hose did not connect. So I'm going like, oh crap, this is not going to be good. So I guess all total of the 3 nights I was there, I maybe have gotten maybe 8 hours sleep in 3 days. So I was, yeah, I was really tired. And the back of the Dragon, it was very, very technical as far as I was concerned. Beautiful roads, beautiful roads up there. We stopped at the first overlook there and put stickers on the guardrail and stuff like that. And I got 4 cameras running, so that video will be out in the very near future. It's a lot of footage, so I have to go through all that. And so it was very, very challenging. It was like to me personally, it was like a ski slalom. Once a turn, then the other turn, then the other turn, and it was great. I loved the ride. And then after the rest at the first overlook, then it started to rain. So I'm thinking to myself, well, let's see how the Spider does in the rain, and it was flawless. It was absolutely flawless.
Excellent.
So I was real not concerned, but overly anxious because of the rain. But I didn't slide. I didn't slip. When I hit the turn, I went through the apex, hit the gas a little bit. No loose ends, what I call it. You lose traction on the back tire. Nothing like that. It was just a magnificent. The Spider was just a magnificent machine that went through there and with no problems at all. And then we
go ahead.
We went to the Walker Overlook, and I was not used to those turns. Okay, and on the Spider, you have to do your half torso. You can't use counter steering or anything else, but you use your half torso to lean to combat centrifugal force. So I'm not used to using these muscles with all those turns, and being the night after my first night, which no CPAP, I was hurting, but I felt good as far as doing the Dragon and everything else. And I had to break away from the group there and go back to the room and try to lay down and get some rest. But the trip was great. I just wish I was in better shape. But either next year or the year after, if I keep going like I'm doing now, I'm about 80% now. But if I keep on going like I've been doing, I'll be doing well.
That's good to hear. So it was a very positive experience for you.
Oh, yes, very.
Would you recommend it?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yes. Coach Bob commented any heat issues with the Spider. None. No heat issues at all, Coach. It was flawless. I mean, the fan didn't even turn on. So it was no issues at all.
When I went last year, it was broiling hot. I mean, it felt like air conditioning when you rode the back of the Dragon and there was tree overhangs that provided shade. It felt like air conditioning. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you go into the tree canopy like that, and yeah, you can tell a temperature difference. But fortunately, I don't think it got above 85, maybe.
Okay.
And then when the rain came in, that cooled some stuff off too. I also brought my cooling vest just in case. So I looked at the forecast and I said, well, I don't think I'll need it today. So I didn't use it. But I did not anticipate all the turns and everything else. And then my muscles were, why are you doing this to me? And then you're gonna pay for it tonight, which I did. But it was well worth the pain. It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
That's excellent. That's great to hear. So the camaraderie and all of that was, inviting, and it was good to meet all these people and put a face to the some of the content that you got to, some of the content creators that you got to meet.
Oh, definitely was. I mean, I got to shake everybody's hand. It was just an honor to meet these people in person. I mean, you see their videos and stuff, and so far, knock on wood, all the people that I've met are pretty much like they are in the videos. I'm sure you're going to get somebody that's one way or the other, but so far, everybody was good.
This stream isn't about me, but I'll make one comment about VAM. When I went last year, if I heard one more time, let's get Kraken or let's talk about that, or, all my stupid sayings, I heard it the entire trip. And I'm like, well, you guys shut up, man. I'm done with that. I'm done.
On vacation, man. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, I was wondering if somebody was going to say, bye to me and say adios, but nobody ever did. So I guess I'm good with that.
There you go. There you go. You had done a previous interview that wasn't a live stream with Miriam and John, is it?
Yes. Miriam and
Uh,
John Travel Adventures. Yes.
Travel Adventures.
Mhm.
And how did that go? Because this is your first live stream, so you're like, you jumped in with both feet. So thank you for being a guest on here. I know I'm a loose cannon, so it could be a gamble coming on to Kraken's garage.
Well, you may be scraping the barrel on me, man, but whatever. That went very well. I mean, he did the video and everything, and then he edited it out, and he asked me about owning the 2021 Sea to Sky, and asked me some questions, and it's up there. I mean, I've had no complaints. Well, I take that back. The only complaint about the Spider is the maintenance cost. But I've got a 2-year maintenance agreement with my dealership, and so it's about up. So I'm going to have to take it in for its last service. But
Well,
then after
before
that,
it expires, you might be able to extend that. So I would go back and see where you bought your policy and see if you can buy another 2 years.
yeah, it wouldn't hurt to ask. I mean, all they can do is say no.
When Jody and Thomas, Purple on 3 and PSP Tommy G went rolling through, and I put them up for a night a couple of times when they were in transit to go down to Florida to visit Tom's mom. Jody had commented, I'm going to need a service on that trip. And I said, order the pack. It comes in a kit with all the filters and oil and everything you need, and just have it mailed to my house, and we'll knock it out when you're here. And we did. And I walked them through the entire process. It's not a big deal to do your own maintenance. So, but everybody has their own physical limitations and are, may not be comfortable with that. So I encourage people to have a crack at it. So there you go. What's the core goal of your content? Is it just fellowship, or we talked about your grandkids and the legacy for the family and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, it's mostly for fellowship, and if anybody's interested in what I do in my little part of the world, that's great. And of course, if you're on YouTube for any length of time, you're going to get haters. It's just a part of YouTube, you know. And all you can do is just delete and block. That's all you can do. But I've had very few and far between of that. But I did have one guy that said, "Well, I hope you crash and burn your scooter." Well, thank you very much. I don't think so, but thanks for asking. You know, so it's just one of those things. But like I said, I just do it for fun. And it's therapy for me.
There was a question from Craig of Moto Travels. He hails from Canada. He asked, "What about the rear tire? Does it wear out fast?"
Well, I can't really say that because I've only it just clicked over 5,000 miles. So
Gotcha.
What I've heard that the rear tire goes about 8,000 miles. Coach Bob would probably answer that question more than I would if he's still in the chat. I really don't know, but I'm keeping an eye on it as far as the wear bars and everything else. So I really can't answer that question. But so far, so good.
Jody's been through a few. My God, she put 26,000 miles on her CanAm Spider last year, and she went through a few tires. But it's astounding what a tire costs in today's environment post-COVID. It is astounding. I mean, what used to be a $200-300 issue is a $500 issue for my Harleys these days. And my days of spooner tires are long gone. I'm never going to do it again. Coach Bob got 11,000 miles out of his tires and have been through 2 sets. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. I hope that answers your question.
That's not too bad. So what bike? Let's talk about what bike you currently own now and what other bikes you've owned in the past.
Okay, well, this is going to be a short subject because the first bike that I owned was a 2004 Bourbon 650 stock. It was a black Bourbon 650. There's a story behind that. I was looking at scooters. My wife saw an article in the newspaper, on the Sunday newspaper, about scooters. Well, the first thing you think of is either Roman Holiday or American Graffiti when you see Toe just smacking into that wall thing, you know.
Or
And
you
I'm,
think
I'm a
a habitual offender of DUIs having to ride around on a 50cc scooter that doesn't require a license.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Liquor sickles. I think that's what they call them in Florida.
There you go.
Because they had too many DUIs. But saw that article in the paper, and the first, like I said, the first thing you thought of was those two movies, or maybe a circus where you see a bear riding a mini bike. Because I'm a fairly uh, mature and statured man, and so I wanted to test ride some scooters, the Yamaha T Max and the Kimcos and stuff. So I had to get a MSF license. So I took the class, and it just so happens I was the oldest guy in the class at 46. Yeah, go figure. And so I took the class, and my instructor, he has a buddy that was also an instructor that had that black Bergman for sale. So he came down on the last day of the testing range, and I saw it, and the rest is history. I bought it from him, and then I bought a 2012 Bergman 650 Executive. Now that's the higher uh, model Bergman. It had adjustable windscreen, adjustable mirrors, and a chrome muffler guard. Boy, that was a lot of money. But
And the fake wood trim, if I'm correct on the dash and stuff.
well, that was a burgundy. That was an aftermarket thing. If you wanted that
Gotcha.
burgundy trim on there, just adhesive, it sticks on there.
Gotcha.
But and then I had that, and that had I think it was I think it was 6 speed, and it had a manual and automatic. The manual, of course, the CVT just has a gear ratio range, but you could simulate shifting if you wanted to. But it was a really good bike. I would still have that bike now if it wasn't for my balance issues. I mean, I really did love that bike, and I've had no problems out of that out of the white Bergman. It was really good. I really hated to see it go, but when you get old and wiser, when you know you're going to have some balance issues on down the road, well, you need to nip that sucker in the bud like Barney Fife did on Mayberry. So that's when I was
So,
looking at spiders.
how many miles did you put on your Bergmans?
Total, both Bergmans around 62,000, something like
That's a
that.
that's a lot of riding, and the Bergman is no joke. Fort Nine with Ryan, he did a video on the Bergman that was very apropos, in my opinion.
Hmm.
He everybody discounts a scooter and whatever. He made a strong argument for why they're legitimate. You know,
Hmm. Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah, he did a real good job on the Bergmans. Sure did.
excellent.
So
So, do you
and
have? Go ahead.
and then the next bike that I bought is the CanAm Spider. So I've only had three in my lifetime. Of course, I was a late starter at 46. So there you go.
So, what made you transition from two wheels to three?
Well, the thing was, on my birthday ride in 2020, I was going around a curve in my neck of the woods down here at Center Hill Lake, and there was some gravel in the road. The first tire went over it fine, so I let off the gas a little bit, and the second tire gave a little micro skip, so just enough to make you pee a little bit in your pants. But after that, that just sort of pushed me towards getting a three-wheeled Spider. Well, a three-wheeled vehicle, I had options. I could go ahead and trike out the scoot, put put what we call training wheels on it, or get a trike, or get a Spider. So I did the research, and that's how I met John and Miriam, because they had the same journey as well. And I researched this for like 2 years. So in 2019, I went down to go see my buddy Sam Smith in Smyrna, Georgia, and his wife rides a 2016 Spider RT Limited. Now, of course, on the 2016s, they were shorter. Oh, you have a what is that?
That Outback Outlaw
Yeah,
sent me a tip of $31 US. Have some coffee, or corfy, as he would put it. Thank you, Nathan. You're very kind. You make me blush, my friend. Thank you.
So when I went down there in 2019, I trailered the scoot down there. Of course, I had videos of all that as well. And this left knee has been giving me problems since 2015. I had a knee replacement done, but the scar tissue grew faster than the therapy. So I've only got like maybe a 30-degree bend in this left knee. So on the older generation spiders, you had to ride it like like a regular motorcycle with your bent knee. Now on the Bergman, you could do your leg extended. So that was one of the main reasons. But I liked the thought of three wheels and everything. And when they came out in the 2020s, they had the extended floorboards on the 2020s, a totally redesigned Spider. And so I'm just drilling at the mouth on that one, or the F3 like Purple on 3 has. So when I had the opportunity to get the new See the Sky, I jumped at it. And I had some prerequisites I had to do. First, I had to sell the scoot, done. Had to pay off the truck, done. Then I could get the Spider, and then everything just fell into place.
Well, people need to know the See the Sky is top shelf. It doesn't get any better in the Can-Am lineup. So that's the Cadillac of all that they sell.
That's true.
So I forgot to mention when we were talking about tires. There was a comment from Free Ranger CT110. We were talking about him earlier before we went live. His content centers around maintaining an older Honda CT110, and he does a great job. You guys should go check out his channel. But in Australia, they call that bike the trail bikes postie bikes, because I guess because mailmen use them to deliver posts. He'll have to answer that down below. But a rear tire for his postie bike, $40. So there you go. I need to go to a postie bike. So, did you commute to work on your bikes or your Spider when you were still working?
Yes, I did. I didn't have the Spider until after my accident at work, but yeah, the Banbury people my department used to call me Weatherman Dave, because if I rode the bike, it's not going to rain. But if I did ride if I did ride the bike, it wasn't going to rain. But if I took my truck, it was going to rain. So yeah, I rode it. Well, I'll put it to you this way: I bought a new Ford F-150 in 2016, and it just now clicked over 30,000 miles.
Wow.
So most of the time I rode the scoot to work or errands or whatever, because the Bergman underneath the seat has ample storage, and I put a top box, a GV top box on it, and side boxes, and it had ample storage of whatever. And it got like 43 miles a gallon too. So there you
go. Craig from Moto Travels says off the beaten path here, but he lives 45 minutes from the Sea to Sky Highway in Canada.
Yes.
So
yes,
that's kind of cool.
Grumpy old gringo, sir. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. I am doing better, bud.
So, like we talked about before we went live, I don't know if you'll talk about it, but you had some physical limitations and that have postponed your riding. And if you want to talk about it, great. If not, no big deal. And did it motivate you to get back and get well and get back on three?
Oh, definitely so. For all the people that don't know, I was involved in a workplace explosion back in March of 2021. I was on the third floor. In the Banbury, you have a lot of chemicals and stuff that go into the mixers to make the tread. I mean, make the rubber for the tread or whatever component that's out there in the plant, so they can put the tires together and then sell them. So I was up there on the third floor. I had 99 working days left before I officially retired. And there was a thunderstorm in the area, and I was dumping sulfur pellets. So the sulfur itself is inert, but once the pellets go down into the bin, it creates mist or dust that comes up there. Then it turns into sodium sulfur dioxide, which is highly volatile. Now, what we think that happened, there was some type of static charge up there on the third floor because it's higher in the atmosphere, and a static charge just ignited that dust cloud, and then the explosion happened, and I was caught on fire on my arm and my left leg, and the access door to the vent itself blew open, and I had a tib-fib fracture, and so, and then I was taken to Vanderbilt University Medical Center at their burn unit. That's one of the top ones in the country. And this was before I got the spider. And I was doing really well. And then I developed infection in this right leg, had to take out the steel rod that's in there, do the infection, clear it up. And then because of the leg was so immobile, I developed a DVT clot. And then that clot migrated to my lungs and heart, and I had a saddle pulmonary embolism, and I died twice on the table in the emergency room at Vanderbilt. So that set me back some, and I was in rehabilitation 4 times, rehab centers 4 times, and I was confined to a wheelchair for 5 months, and my self-esteem and, why did this happen to me? And you get into a deep depression. And if whoever's out there, if you think that you are going into a deep hole that there's no way out, there is. You need to get help. You need to get therapy. And that really helped me a lot. So when I was going through my second set of PT, physical therapy, once I got on the bike again, all the depression just lifted. It just completely lifted. And I've been just thankful that I can ride again. And that's why I just have 5,000 miles on a 2-year-old bike, because, I would go out there down the handicap ramp and just start the bike just to smell the gas fumes.
There's no shame there, Dave. And you're a testimony of the will to live and the will to get through tough times. And if you're religious or not, there's an old saying that God only gives you as much as you can handle, and clearly you were able to handle it. So there you go.
Thank you, Coach Bob. I see your comment there. Thank you, buddy.
So what percentage of your body was burned?
I think they're calling it 30%. It was here. I don't know if you can see it or not. You can see the scarring here.
Yeah.
And then I have it on my left leg from above my knee down to my ankle. And then the right leg that had a tib-fib fracture on it. And then I was just, and the thing that hurt the worst of all this, the thing that hurt the worst was the skin grafts. That hurt like a big dog. But it's cool once you see where the skin grafts were, because it looked like somebody took a scalpel and just cut a straight line and just took pieces of skin off for the graft. And what they do is they put it in for the lack of a better word, a pizza thing that you squish out the dough with to make it bigger and longer and stuff. And that's why you get the fish scaling on there. So then I had to go through the CO2 laser treatments and everything, and all through that, and then the therapy on the right leg for walking and everything else. But through the grace of God and all the prayers and well wishes of all the people here on YouTube and my family and on Facebook and everything, I'm doing a lot better. So
that's just wonderful to hear. It really is. Again, it's a testimony to life. Any one of us could get thrown a curveball on health or family or medical bills, or the list goes on, and you just have to get up every day and put one foot in front of the other. And after 45 years of riding, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, every time life was absolutely bottoming out for me, when I got on a bike for a brief moment, it was gone. Like magic, it was gone. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. It's incredible therapy for me, but everybody is different.
It was for me as well.
So tell me how your Spider ownership has been. Yes, it's only been 5,000 miles, but there's always niggles and quirks and good things you like, and some things, my elbows are always in the mirror, it vibrates my buns too much or whatever. Let's hear your story on the Spider.
Well, the Spider, it's been a great machine, and the only thing that I really, really don't like at all, I just have to get used to it. And Coach Bob will attest to this, is the CanAm clunk. When you first put it in first gear, it feels like the transmission is going to drop out on the ground. I mean, it's
Can't be any worse than a freaking Harley.
that's what the Blue Blanket Doyle said. That's what it sounded like when he puts it in gear. But the everything is great where it is. The mirrors are starting to shake a little bit, but I'm going to do something about that here in the very near future.
Okay.
But the another thing too, and you actually did a video on it, the CAN bus system, and
Yes.
spiders are real finicky as far as adding accessories and everything on. So I try to steer away from that if I can. And Coach Bob put a video out, and it's called a Thunder Box, and you do it directly to your battery, and it has two leads coming out where you can put accessories to, and then when it comes directly to your battery, and then when you ride and stuff, it detects the charging system. But once the bike's turned off and it detects it's not charging anymore, the accessories that you got it on to the battery automatically turns off. So there's no battery drainage at all. So that's one of my next thing. I've got an Excel sheet about this long of stuff I'm going to get for the Spider. So
I posted that video, and it's very technical and boring, but it amazes me how many people get to clowning around with their electrical system on their bike, cutting wires, putting on new turn signals, and then it throws up error codes. And it's like, times have changed, guys. You really need to read up on this before you start hacking up your bike. So that was the purpose of that video. And, as usual, I get my lackluster views, but maybe it'll help somebody later on down the road if they Google it.
oh yeah, it helped me quite a bit, and then that just that just reaffirmed the fact about putting accessories on there like that, because once a CanAm Spider throws a code, you don't know if it's going to go in limp mode or not. What limp mode is, I think it's the fastest you can go is 40 miles an hour once it goes into limp mode, just to get it repaired or whatever. So that scares me to death. So the Thunderbox, Coach Bob said the Thunderbox is working great so far. So that is one of my next purchases on the Spiders, to get that Thunderbox so I can run the GPS and some other stuff that I plan to put on it down in the future. So yeah, that's going to be a game changer for me anyway. So
Gotcha.
and as far as no, not really any other quirks. Well, the BRP Connect or BRP Go on the Spider, as far as I'm concerned, it's useless. Um, so it's hard to pair up with it and everything else. So I just pair up with my Cena helmet to the phone if I want to listen to tunes or whatever, and I can pair it up to the Zumo XT that my brother got me for my birthday. That was a big surprise, and so you can get timber turn instructions with your helmet and stuff. And I have a little Facebook group here. We call ourselves Middle Tennessee Geritol Riders Group. For younger people that don't know what that joke is, Geritol was and it's still there. It's supposed to be for iron poor blood. So
It's right next to the Depends diapers. You can't miss it.
Yeah, I've been wanting to I've been wanting to get sponsored by Depends for Men, but they still haven't returned my calls yet. So I'm still waiting on that.
Dallas Fort Worth Spider Moose. Isn't he another Can-Am rider? Correct.
Yes, sir. He sure is.
And
he had to see the sky. He had to see the sky as well, and then he traded it in for the new F3s.
Yeah, he's. Folks, by the way, I need to give props to Dave here. He is a guru, my go-to man when I'm having technical difficulties with cameras, between GoPros or what's my other brand? I can't even think of it. DJI and whatnot. Dave has always taken the time to help me out, and just really nice. Been very helpful to my channel and my growth and development on a technical level. Thank you very much.
DWF Spider, DFW Spider Moose said I'm his brother, and believe it or not, we have been corresponding for a good while now. And he was born on the same day of the month as me. We're both born July 11th, so that was sort of Twilight Zone-ish, but it was cool. He's a couple of years, maybe a year or so older than me, but we've been corresponding back and forth and everything else. And he's a really good man, really good man.
So he's your brother from another mother.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Exactly.
Excellent, excellent. Of the 3 bikes that you've owned, which has been your favorite of all time?
Well, with just having 5,000 miles on the Spider, I have to give it so far a tie between the Spider and the Bergman Executive. But as far as peace of mind and stability, I've got to give it to the Spider. I've got to give it to the Spider because it can move, and you don't have to worry about putting your feet down. You don't have to worry about washouts or grass in the road, gravel and stuff like that. But you still got to be cautious, of course. But I'm really loving the Spider. So if you ask that question again, the next 10,000 miles, I'll probably say the Spider of all 3.
As I've never ridden anything. The only 3, well, that's not true. Jody let me ride her Spider around the block, but that was hardly a test drive. But the only other 3-wheeler I've ridden has been a side hack, a 1946 Indian Chief with a sidecar. My question to you is, because when you ride a side hack, it's a different animal. I didn't enjoy it by any means, but you have 2 wheels that are lined up, and then you have one on the right-hand side. That's it. With the Spider, you have 1, 2, 3, so you're taking up all, well, not all, but the great portion of the driving lane. Is dodging or weaving over potholes or debris a challenge on a Spider?
Oh yes, it is, because you can't, because you have the front 2 wheels up there, you think, well, I could just go over it, but then you remember, well, I've got that back wheel in the center. So what you have to do, if you have something that you have to go over, you try to angle it just on the inside of the tire so it'll miss the back tire, and that does become a challenge. Of course, with the Spider, especially the Sea to Sky, the shocks are great, and they absorb the potholes and everything just fantastic. So
it's capable of shrugging it off and not disrupting the bike, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, it shrugs it off. It just handles it fine. So
Nick from Australia, wonderful gentleman. He used to ride with someone who owned a Bergman. Terrific bike. Smart, comfy, capable design. Very well said. It is. The only Bergman I've ever ridden was a Bergman 200. And a friend of mine, I've thought about doing a Mr. Codger's neighborhood scooter story on this, but did an iron butt from mile marker 0. He lived down at Key West up to Niagara Falls in 24 hours on a Bergman 200. And he stayed at our house on the way home. And long story short, a week after he got home, he got center punched by a car and spent a year in a hospital and 2 years of rehabilitation. Almost 2 years. And we found another scooter for him, but he wasn't physically able to go get it. So I hopped on a plane and flew out to Texas and rode it down to Key West to deliver it to him.
Oh, that was very nice.
Well, help out a brother when they're in need,
Exactly.
So that's just the way I feel about it. But I'll do a Mr. Codger's neighborhood on that one. People love to hate on my scooter adventures.
Oh, I love them. I mean, I believe in all honesty that Vespas are bulletproof. They're great bikes. They're great bikes.
I would take mine right now, all 155 cc's, and I'd ride it all the way to California and back without even batting an eye, and that's a fact. But people think I'm a Fruit Loop, so for doing so. So, what has been your favorite trip that you have ever taken?
I went to um, the Homestead Hill Hootenanny. This is some motovloggers that started when I did, and I rode the Bergman from Smyrna, Tennessee to Raleigh, North Carolina, and that would have to be the best trip so far. Now, if I was in better shape from VAM, I would probably say VAM would have been because I had to bow out of the Pocahontas Mine tour and everything. And I really wanted to go there. I should have just sucked it up. But when you get as mature as I am, and you know your body, and when it says no, you better not try to suck it up, and you better do what it says, because if you don't, it's going to be consequences to pay. And I didn't want anybody to be, if I went down, I didn't want to take anybody else down with me. So that was another main concern of mine, that, if something did happen or something, and I did do that, it'd be bad. So,
Uh, there's no reason to not pay attention to your body at any age. Dehydration, fatigue. There's all types of things that, well, I cover a lot of them on my channel over the years, and I continue to beat the drum of safety and what are the things to look out for, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, that's really good advice. As you get older, it doesn't seem like it when you're a young buck. You seem like you're bulletproof. Nothing's going to hurt you.
oh yeah,
Then as you get older, you start to realize the fragility of life, and it starts to get real serious real quick.
exactly. Now on the Sea to Sky, when I bought it in 2021, they came with luggage. Okay, they came with the two semi hard bags and the side bags and a front bag. So I've dedicated one bag completely to first aid. I've got all sorts of first aid equipment in there, splints, uh, uh, bandages, tourniquets, uh, a blood pressure cuff. I mean, I've got all that stuff in that bag there. And on the right hand bag, I've got all the tools: the tire plugger, compressor, a jump starter, um, just tools that I think I may need on the road. And I leave the front open and the top case open for whatever stuff that I want to put in there for every certain length of time. So I've dedicated those for first aid, just in case. I mean, I'm a safety oriented person, just in case something did happen. And I've always been safety conscious ever since I've been a wee little tyke, I guess. So,
Um, I'm so old school that I have learned to carry a first aid kit on my bike and in my truck, and it has served me well over the decades. Let's just put it that way. Fortunately, I haven't never had to use it on me, but in 45 years of riding, I have rolled up on more than my fair share of accidents. Let's just put it that way, of people that are having a bad day.
mm-hmm.
So, if there's any questions, folks, please get them out there in the chat, and we'll throw them up there for Big Dave to answer. Paul G, thank you so much. I really wish you guys wouldn't do that, but I appreciate the donation. You're the lifeblood of my channel, being so um, supportive of what I do and what I'm trying to do on YouTube. Thank you so much. Let's see. Do we have any questions? Free Ranger says he really enjoys my scooter content, but uh, he enjoys not so much the Harley content. So my channel is a bit of a smorgasbord, but there's usually hidden nuggets in every episode that apply to anybody that rides on anything. So unless it's a technical video, they're flat boring. So there you go. So have you ever ridden outside of the U.S., Dave?
No, sir, I have not. I haven't ridden. I've driven to Montreal, Canada, I'm going to go see a friend of mine, and I was in bass fishing really heavy at the time, and I went to Burlington, Vermont, and we rode up to Montreal, Canada, and this was before 9/11. This was like April of 2001, and I've never ridden out of the country on a motorcycle. I have not. It
First
surprised
time
me.
I go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. It surprised me when we crossed the Canadian border and the speed limit was 90. Of course, I forgot that they were in metric, and I'm going, man, y'all can go 90 miles an hour? No, Dave, it's kilometers per hour. And I did like 55. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, that sort of threw me off for a little loop there.
I
But
bet.
good thing about the CanAm, if I ever do go across the Canadian border, you can switch it to kilometers per hour, so you won't get in trouble.
First time I ever rode out of country, I was 17. At that point, I lived in Southern California, and it was an hour and a half away to go into Mexico. So there you go. Geographic region has a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now I've ridden the Bergman from Smyrna, Georgia, like I said, to Raleigh, North Carolina, and I rode the Bergman from Smyrna, Tennessee, to Port Huron, Michigan. That trip,
Wow.
that trip total, I think, was 1,700 miles with a buddy
That's
of
a
mine.
long ride. And having
Yes,
a
it was.
buddy makes it very enjoyable as long as you both are like-minded on your styles of how you ride,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
pretty much so. We've rode together for many years, so we know each other's habits, and so we ride together quite often still.
Um, Free Ranger CT110, what he's referring to, M money sign B, stands for $1 million bogan. And he's a very famous Australian that does crazy things on Harley Davidsons. He's a train wreck of a YouTube channel and he films it all. And he bought a brand new Honda Monkey and he rode it across some ungodly amount of part of Australia. And it was very funny to watch. He's correct. So good stuff there. Thank you for reminding me of that. So now that you have the top of the line Spider, do you have any plans for any other bikes later on down the road, or are you good to go?
Well, I think personally I'm good to go because the configuration of the Spider is different than a traditional trike, and I researched that as well. And because of the OSHA triangle of stability, I personally think, I mean, a lot of trike owners may disagree with me, which is fine. But what I think of that configuration is a lot more stable than a regular trike configuration. So, um, I mean, the CanAm Spider has all the electronic stuff. It has stability control, traction control, and everything on it. And so I'm not too worried about, you know, flipping it up on one wheel or anything. You have to be intentionally wanting to high side. You can't low side a Spider. That's impossible to do, but you can high side a Spider. I've seen it done before when this gentleman with probably the brainstem of a match uh, tried to do a turn on wet leaves and it high sided the Spider. But I mean, I'm talking about the stability and the safety and everything and the water profile of the Spider. And I feel a lot safer and more comfortable on the Spider than I did on the scooters.
Paul, he lives out in Louisiana. He's a good guy and a Patreon of the channel, but he said the $1 million bogan rant was epic. What he's referring to, when I first started my channel, there was a big to do with $1 million bogan and Harley Davidson. And I bang on Harley hard on my channel. I mean, about all their wrongdoings. I really do. I'm not a fan of their current regime and what the company's doing. They could do so much more. But anyway, I went on an epic 20-minute rant on the company on behalf of $1 million bogan. And oddly enough, I wound up with a boatload of Australian viewers from that day forward because I supported one of their own. So it's funny how things happen in life.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But so we have finished up all the questions unless anybody else has any. We've been live for 54 minutes, and I try to wind these up in about an hour. So is there anything you would like to ask? Dave, please chime in. Dave, anything you want to share, any words of wisdom about young riders to, middle-aged riders to old geezers? Anything you want to share with them?
Well, I mean, you have the responsibility and the commitment to ride your bike safely. I always run a camera whenever I hit the starter button. One camera's running all the time, just because of the hazards and everything of other cagers and even other bike riders. So I was going back home, and I was passing this utility vehicle that was hauling a light pole. So when I went right past it, and I was doing 40 miles an hour, here comes a sport bike, and I know he was doing 80, just going in and out of traffic and stuff like that. And the person that does the speed is you. Whether the bike can do 180 miles an hour, it's the guy that flicks the wrist. So just be aware that you're not indestructible. Just ride safe. Ride your own ride. Ride safe, and don't do nothing stupid.
Agreed. Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up this stream. I thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you so much to all the people that showed up. Maz just showed up from Australia. He's up in North Queensland. So
Hi, guys.
I'm sorry, Maz, we're just getting ready to shut it down. So I apologize, sir. But I want to thank Dave for taking the time out of his life to come on and share his story. And I think it was worth hearing about a man and his started riding late in life, the struggles he's had with the physical limitations due to some incidents in his life, and where he's at and where he's going and how he's going to get there, and how it motivated him to heal up and get better. So I greatly appreciate you taking the time in your life. It was an honor and a pleasure, sir.
Oh, no, so the honor was mine. And those two things, riding the Christmas parade with my daughter and VAM 23, that's what kept me pushing through all the physical therapy and everything else. I had a goal to set, and I set both of those goals, and now I got to reach out and get another one.
You need to get your granddaughter on this year's Christmas parade, mic'd up with a mic, and do the same parade. We all need to hear her reaction to everything that's going on. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, if I can convince her to get on the bike, she still can't touch the back pegs yet. But hopefully in a couple of years or so, she may want to ride with Pappy doing the Christmas parade and throwing out candy to the little curtain climbers. So that'll be great.
Well, thank you so much, folks. Everybody, I love you all. Thank you for taking the time out of your life. I'm blessed to have each and every one of you in my life and in my stream. You mean the world to me. You are the lifeblood of Kraken's Garage. Thank you, Dave.
Oh, thank you, sir.
If you will hang on, I will bid you goodbye off air, and we're going to end the broadcast. Thank you so much, folks. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you.